Warning: the following podcast, which contains strong language and mature content, is unsuitable for children or for the faint of heart. The subject matter discussed will be frightening and graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
When you wanna hear about the paranormal, you get the Spooked Girls. True crime that makes you hypothermal. With the 3 Spooked Girls, stabby snippets will give you dreams. Tara and Jessica will make you along with the Spooked Girls. Bring on the slaughter, we on that haunted ground. The 3 Spooked Girls.
Hey Spooksters, and welcome back to another Sunday Scaries here on 3 Spooked Girls. My name is Tara, and as always, I'm here with my ghoul friend Jessica.
Hello.
If you are new here and you haven't listened to parts 1 through 5, you're going to want to pause this, go back, and then come back when you're all caught up, because our Sunday Scaries are covering the Reddit stories from the No Sleep Reddit that kind of birthed the legend Staircases in the Woods. For those caught up, let's go ahead and dive on in. It's been way too long since I posted an update, and I'm sorry about that. There's also been some confusion about the new formatting requirements on the board, which I've cleared up. So these next few stories are going to be posted a little differently. They'll be in chronological order, and I'll do my best to tie them into each other as much as I can so it doesn't skip around too much. When I started out as a rookie, no one had told me a lot about the job in terms of weird things that could happen. I'm assuming this was largely to prevent me from freaking out and abandoning the park. But a few months into my service, when I was still a rookie, a friend and I were drunk at a party when he opened up a bit. Yeah, it can get a little crazy out there, I guess. I think the worst are the ones where people just die when they shouldn't, you know? Or when we find them dead like 10 minutes after somebody saw them last. They were fine when I passed them on the switchback, I swear. That sort of shit. Like, take this guy I found one spring out on a really popular trail. Someone comes into the VC freaking out about how some guy who's lying in the middle of the path in this giant pool of blood. So we run out there and we find this guy dead as a doornail, which he absolutely should be because the back of his head is like mashed potatoes. The skull is decimated, brains are leaking out like custard filling, and the guy's old, so you figure, yeah, he probably fell and hit his head. Old people fall all the time, it's no big deal. Except that this area where he fell doesn't have any big rocks. There's not even any stumps or big branches. And on top of that, there's no blood trail. So he clearly died where he dropped. Now that's when you turn to murder, but there were people just out of line of sight of the guy. If someone had came up behind him and murdered him, there's no way someone wouldn't have heard it. And again, even if someone had, there'd be a blood trail, spatter all over the place. But everyone on the scene said it looked exactly like he had fallen and smashed his head on a rock. So what the fuck did he hit his head on? And then there was this lady I found in a different park about 5 years ago, back when I was upstate. We found her in the middle of a stand of big junipers curled around the trunk, like she was hugging it. We picked her up to move her, and a fucking waterfall comes out of her mouth, splashes all over my shoes. Her clothes were dry and her hair was dry, but the amount of water in her lungs and stomach was phenomenal. Unreal, man. Coroner's report says that the cause of death was drowning. Her lungs were completely full of water, even though we're in the middle of the high desert and there isn't a body of water for miles. No puddles, nothing. No sign of anyone else being out there. I mean, yeah, it's possible they were murdered, but why go out of the way to do it like that? Why not just stab them and be done with it? I don't know. It just sits weird with me. Now, of course, that freaked me out a little, but we were wasted, and I guess I sort of wrote it off as a fluke. I also assumed there was exaggeration there since, you know, we were wasted. Now, I don't like talking about this next case very much. It was an awful one that I've done my best to forget about, but of course that's easier said than done. This happened about 6 months after the conversation with my friend at the bar, and up until that point, I hadn't really had a lot of weird shit go down. A few things here and there, and of course the stairs, but it's amazingly easy to get used to stuff like that when it's treated as if it's normal. This case was a little different. A guy with Down syndrome in his 20s went missing after his family lost sight of him on a major path. That was odd in itself because the guy never left his mom's side. She was absolutely convinced he had been kidnapped, and unfortunately, a ranger who isn't with the park anymore insinuated that no one was going to kidnap someone, well, with that kind of disability. Not very tactful, to say the least. We wasted a lot of time trying to calm her down to get enough information about him, and then we put out an official missing persons call. Because of the urgency of the situation, him being mostly unable to function alone, we had the police come in and help us. We couldn't find him the first night, which was heartbreaking. None of us wanted to think of him being alone out there. We assumed he just kept wandering and that he was staying ahead of us. We brought out the Hells the next day, and they spotted him in a little canyon. I helped bring him back up, but he was in bad shape, and I think we all knew he wasn't going to make it. He had fallen and broken his spine and couldn't feel his lower half. He had also broken both legs, one at the femur, and he had lost a lot of blood. He was confused and scared while he was alone, so he had probably exacerbated the injuries by dragging himself a little ways. I know it sounds awful, but while I was riding in the chopper with him, I asked him why he wandered off. I just wanted something to tell his mother, to let her know that it wasn't her fault, because he was fading fast and I didn't think she'd get to ask him herself. He was crying and he said something about how the little sad boy had wanted him to come and play. He said that the little boy wanted to trade so he could go home. Then he closed his eyes, and when he woke up again, he was in the canyon. I'm not sure that's exactly what he said, but it was what I thought the gist of it was. He kept crying, asking where his mommy was, and I held his hand and tried my best to keep him calm. It was cold out there. He kept saying that. It was cold out there. My legs were frozen. It was cold out there. It's cold in me. He was getting even weaker, so he eventually stopped talking and he closed his eyes for a while. Then, when we were about 5 minutes from the hospital, he looked right at me with these big tears running down his face, and he said, "Mama won't see me no more. Love, Mama. Wish she was here." And he closed his eyes and he just never woke up. It was horrible, and I don't like talking about it. That case was one of the first ones that really rattled me badly. Because of how badly it affected me, I reached out to a senior ranger who ended up helping me through it. As time went on, we got to know each other better, and he ended up sharing one of his own stories with me. It was disturbing, but it helped me know that I wasn't the only one affected by these things going on out there. I think this must have happened before you got here, because I think if it had happened while you were here, you'd remember it. I know it didn't end up on the news for some reason, but I think most people who were here long enough know about it. The park sold off a portion of land to a logging company, and it was a really controversial thing. But it wasn't that large or old of a plot, and it was right after the recession, so we needed the cash bad. Anyway, they were selling this plot of land, and we got a call that we needed to get our supervisors out there right away. I don't know why, but they ended up sending me and a few other guys along with the heads, I guess for power in numbers, to see what was up. We got there, and all of these guys are crowded around a tree that they've cut down. They're all pissed off and freaking out, and the foreman comes over and says he wants to know what we think we're up to. What the hell do y'all think this is? Some kind of sick joke? You've got a lot of fucking nerve pulling this shit. We bought this land fair and square. Well, we don't know what the hell he's talking about, so he brings us over to this felled tree and points at it and tells us that when they cut it down, it was just like this, and they'll be damned if they put it there. The inside of the tree was all rotted out and hollow in one spot, and when they cut it down, it had exposed that chamber, and inside it is a hand. A perfectly severed hand. And it looks like it's actually fused to the inside of the tree. Well, now we think they're pulling a joke, so we tell them that we don't like to be fucked with, and we start to leave. But they tell us they've already called the cops and that they'll go right to the media if we don't stick around. Well, that gets the head's attention, so they stick around and talk to the police about it. Everyone is denying that they put the hand in there, and besides, how would anyone have even done that? It's clearly a real hand, but it's not mummified or skeletal. It's brand new, probably not even a day old. And it is definitely fused with the wood. You can see that it's coming right out of it. The loggers insist that they didn't put it there. Somehow, this fresh human hand ended up fused to the inside of this living tree. The cops have them cut that section of the tree into a movable chunk. They then take the hand away and the area is closed off. There was a pretty big investigation, but I know they didn't find any answers. Now it's become this legend, and as far as I know, they haven't sold any more property for logging. As you all know, I went to a training seminar recently and heard some amazing and horrible things there. One of the guys I talked to while I was there told me a story when we were all around the campfire one night. We were both pretty drunk, you'll see a pattern here, and we were swapping stories. He told me this one. Me and another guy were out on a field search because some campers reported screaming noises at night. So we head out there to look for whatever fucking mountain lion has wandered into the area, and I'm pissed. We had about 3 of them show up in this camping area that year alone, and I was getting tired as hell of constantly having to deal with them. Plus, I just don't like them anyway. They're a pain in the ass, and they're loud, and they scare the shit out of me. Fucking cats. I'm groaning about it to the guy I'm with, and he thinks it's a real fucking riot. So we're seeing all these broken branches and what looks like dens, and we're pretty sure we know where the thing is. I call in and they tell me to confirm if possible, which, means they want you to step in the big pile of shit and use it as proof. I'm not seeing any though, so I basically just tell them to shove it, I'm done. We know that the damn thing is out here somewhere, even if I'm not stepping in its shit or inside its mouth or whatever. The guy I'm with wanders off to take a piss or whatever, and I stay behind watching this little burrow under a tree to see if maybe a fox or something else is living under it, because I love foxes, man. They're cute as hell. But anyway, I'm watching this tree, and I start hearing branches cracking, and it's coming from the direction my partner went opposite of. Now I got my pistol, but you and I both know they're not gonna do shit against a cat. I cock it and holler for my partner to get his dumb ass back, but he's too far and he can't even hear me. I stand up and get my sights on where the thing is approaching, and I shit you not, man, I about peed myself. This guy is coming towards me, and he's backflipping through the fucking woods. Like, instead of walking, he's doing these crazy backflips. And I swear to God, he clears every fucking log and bush in his path. Like he knew right where he was going. I yelled at the guy to stop right where he is, that I'm pointing a gun right at him, but he keeps coming, and I just kind of lost it. I shot at the ground in front of him, and it was a dumb fucking thing to do. But man, I didn't want this guy anywhere near me. When I fired, he was about 50 yards from me, and as soon as the gun goes off, he whirls around and goes off, backflipping back into the woods. My partner hears my gun go off and runs back and asks what's up, and I tell him that there's some fucking weirdo out here hopped up on God knows what, and we need to get the hell out of Dodge. I let the cops know what happened, and I didn't get into any trouble for firing, but man, I don't know what that motherfucker was on, but I had never seen anything like that before. Shit was absolutely buttfuck crazy. I think we can agree that there's stuff going on out here in the woods. And while I'm not going to spout off about what it could be or offer any theories, what I want people to take away from all of this is that it is so damn important to be safe when you're out there. I know a lot of you think you're invincible, but the fact is that you can die out there, or be hurt, or go missing. It's even easier than you ever imagined. I apologize for this relatively short update, guys. I'll do my absolute best to continue this series as soon as possible. And that is going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. We hope you guys enjoyed this week's Sunday Scary. We have 2 more episodes left, and then that will wrap us up for spooky season. If y'all have any suggestions or themes or requests for maybe some future Sunday Scary series, let us know. We've had a lot of fun doing this and would like to continue it on as well. But with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we will see you back here on Thursday for another episode. Bye, guys.
Toodles.